Okay, a lot of this lesson is similar. What's different is we're combining two linear functions together to be able to solve to figure out what our x and y is. And at the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get to an ordered pair. Because we solve for x and we solve for y, when we have something linear, then we can go plug it in and physically solve for it. So I'm going to put number one up here, which we're going to do on the whiteboard together. After we go through it. So it's y equals x minus 2, and then y equals 4x plus 1. Okay, so to start this, we have two separate equations. Notice they're both equal to y. Okay? So the very first step, we're going to get one equal to y, or we got to state one that's y. Well, both of these are y, right? So we're going to substitute this 2x inside this problem. We're going to combine them together, okay? So if you notice, this is x plus 5. I'm putting 2x at the other side. Everyone see that? I made them equal to each other. And because the y's are now equal to each other, we can solve what x is. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now we're going to solve. So here I'm going to subtract x from both sides, and I'm subtracting x because I've got numbers over here, and I want to get the variable by itself. So when I subtract it from this side, it cancels out. 2x minus x is just x, bring down 5. We just solve for x. Okay? Now, we're going to solve both equations by substituting x for 5. So I wrote both equations, y equals 2x, then y equals x plus 5, and then I'm going to replace x with 5. So this x I replace with 5, this x I replace with 5, and now I'm going to see if they're true. So 5 times 2 is 10, y equals 10, and then 5 plus 5 is also 10, so y equals 10. So now, last step, we have our ordered pair. It's pretty easy. We're making them equal to each other. Make sense so far? Okay, so very last step is our answer, and our answer is we solve for x and we solve for y. We have our ordered pair. We're finished. Okay? All right. So let's look at this next one. A little more complication going on. We have 2x plus 5 plus y equals 5, and x or y equals x minus 4. So the first step in looking at this equation, if we have one equal to y, we're going to start with that one. Okay? So step 1, we're going to start with y equals x minus 4. And the reason being is we can take this x minus 4 and plug it in here. Now we no longer have y's, and we can solve for x. Okay? So looking at this one, I take this and I write it over here. First equation, 2x plus 5 plus y equals 5. And this y, I'm going to replace with x minus 4. Okay, so all I did was rewrite this, replacing this y. Understand? This right here, this equals y. Okay, I took this and I plugged it in for y. Okay, would it help if I put this in parentheses? We don't really need to, but now from here, when we get here, we're going to simplify. Okay, so we have 2x and x. We can add those together, 3x, just bring down the negative 4. Then from there, we want to solve. We want to get the x by itself. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. Well, 5 plus 4 is 9. Bring down the 3x. Divide both sides by 3. X equals 3. We just figured out what our x is. Once we know what our x is, we can solve for our y. So we're going to take both equations, write it down. Do you see the pattern from the last lesson? You're taking the functions, you're putting them down. You were given an ordered pair. You plugged in the ordered pair and solved for it. Well, through this, we're making something equal to each other. We're combining the problems together since they equal each other, and we're coming up to what the ordered pair is. So I write both these again, 2x plus y equals 5, and y equals x minus 4. So I write these side by side, and then I start plugging the information in. X equals 3. So 2, in parentheses, I put x plus y equals 5. Now I go ahead and solve for this, okay? 2 times 3 is parentheses, so it's 6. Bring down the y, bring down the 5. I want to get the y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 6 by both sides. So this negative 6 plus 1 makes this y negative 1. We're going to do the same thing on this to make sure they're both right. So y equals x minus 4. I'm going to take 3 and plug it in. Well, 3 minus 4 is minus 1. These both check out, right? So we know that we have the right answer. So, last step, our x is 3, our y is negative 1. There's our ordered pair. 3 and minus 1. Clear? We're good? Okay, let's move on to the next one. No y's. Right? We have two equations, x plus 4y equals 6 and x plus y equals 3. So our first step is going to change. We want to get one of these x equal to just x. Okay? So I'm going to take this first equation and I'm going to get x by itself. For me to get x by itself, I'm going to subtract 4y from both sides. Then I'm going to rewrite the problem. I'm going to bring down my x. This cancels out, so bring down the 6, bring down the minus 4y. So what did we just do here? We just solved for x. X equals this. Okay? Now it's not just one number, but we can take that and plug it in an equation with y's, and we can solve for it. So we're going to take this second one. X plus y equals 3. X plus y equals 3. And we're going to replace this information for x. Okay? So I'm going to take this information right here that we just solved for, 6 minus 4, and y, and we plug it into the formula. Does everyone see that? Now from here we want to simplify, which means we're just going to combine like terms. So we have 6, we have to leave that by itself, there's no other numbers here, but we have 4y plus y. So that means we can subtract 1. This becomes 3y. We bring down the 3. Does everyone understand how I got to this step? If there's a y there, we can combine these. We can simplify these. Just like if there was a number on this side, we could add those numbers together or subtract them, whatever's going on. So from here, 4y minus y, because what's in front of this y we can't see? A 1. And it's a positive 1, right? Because it's plus. So that means you have 4, you're subtracting 1, you have 3 left over. So this is minus 3y, bring down the 3, bring down the 6. Now we can start dealing with the numbers. We're going to subtract 6 from both sides. 3 minus 6 is minus 3. Bring down the negative 3y. We've got to get the y by itself. We're going to divide by negative 3. Now, this is a common mistake I see right here. This part right here. I see a lot of times you divide by 3, and you forget the symbol. When you divide this and get this y by itself, you have to carry the negative down here, and you have to carry the negative down here. Clear? So this becomes negative 3 divided by negative 3, which is 1. Now, we solved for y, didn't we? So that means we can go and take our second one, we combined them, we worked on this one, now we're going to go work on this one. So we write this out and we're replacing for y. So this one right here, x plus 4y equals 6, okay? We're taking this y and replacing with 1. That's going to allow us to solve for what x is. So 4 times 1 is 4, bring down the 4, bring down the 6, subtract 4 from both sides, 6 minus 4 is 2. We have our x, now we have our ordered pair, and we're done. Our y is 1, there's my y, my x is 2. There's my ordered pair, I'm finished. Any questions? Okay, does everyone have this written down on your whiteboard? Write it out and let me see it. Now pull your whiteboard out. Okay, I want you to start solving this. Now notice, this one's going to be very similar to this one because they're both equal to y. So our very first step is we can put these problems together. So x minus 2 equals 4x plus 1. Doesn't matter which one we picked here, and we just substitute it in for it. Now from here, we can go ahead and solve for it. We can combine like terms, right? We have x's on one side, we have numbers on another, so it really doesn't matter which one we choose. I will tell you what I do. I try to avoid negatives, especially negatives of variables, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract x from both sides. That's going to get this x by itself. It's going to be negative 2 equals, this is a 1 in front of here that we can't see, so this is 4, so this becomes 3x plus 1. Everyone understand that first step? When you're done writing this and the steps, make sure you put it in your do now, okay? I'm going to have you guys do this one on your lonesome, and then you're going to show me your answer, okay? Okay, any questions how I got here? Yes, no? Well, you have a question? Yeah. Okay. I took these, I made them equal to each other, okay? So I took this equation, I put it up front, and then I put this one next to it. Because these are both equal to y, I can make them equal to each other. That now gets rid of the y's and allows me to solve for x and get x by itself. So then what I do here, it really didn't matter how I started. Y, WHY, because x is on both sides, numbers are on both sides. We could have picked anything, it didn't matter. As long as we keep this problem balanced, we're okay. But like I said, I try to avoid negative variables. So I take this x, do the opposite, minus x, and 4 minus 1 is 3. Bring down the 1, bring down the negative 2. Okay? And then from there, now I'm going to work on this side. I'm not going to mess with that 2 because I want the x by itself. So I'm going to minus 1 on both sides. Oh, this one's going to turn out pretty easy here. So this one's going to cancel out. This is negative 2 and negative 1, which is negative 3, equals 3x. Now if we divide by 3, guess what we just did? We solved for x. So this cancels out, x equals negative 1. Do we understand why it's negative 1? Negative divided by positive, right? Okay, so we took our two equations, right? We solved for x. We only have one last step. We're going to take this equation, and we're going to rewrite it, and we're going to plug in for x, okay? So we're going to have y equals x minus 2. We're going to draw a line, and we're going to replace this. Y equals negative 1 and negative 2. So what does y equal? Negative 3. So now we have our ordered pair. Very last step, we have minus 1, minus 3. There's my x, there's my y. I'm finished. I finished the problem. Any questions?
Yeah, I didn't get the second.
Which part? This part right here? I took this equation, I rewrote the equation, and I substituted what I solved for. So I solved that x was negative 1. So I took this, and I replaced it with negative 1, and then I was able to solve for y. Now, I'm going to show you something. Watch this. This is the beauty of math. I'm going to erase all this right here, and we're going to pick a completely different way. And I'm going to show you that we're going to come up to the same exact answer. So instead of subtracting x, you guys tell me what you do want to subtract or add. What side do you want to work on? Pick a number, pick a variable.
1.
You want to move the 1? Okay, so I'm going to minus 1. I'm going to minus 1 from both sides. Okay, this is going to cancel out. This is going to become negative 3. X equals 4x. Okay, I have variables on both sides, and I have numbers on one side. So that means I got to move this x down. So I'm going to minus x. I'm going to minus x. This is going to cancel out. Negative 3 equals 3x, because there's an imaginary 1 in front of here, so we're subtracting it. Now from here, I'm going to divide by 3. I'm going to divide by 3. X equals negative 1. Isn't that the same answer we came up with? Okay, so now we're going to do the same exact thing. We're going to take this equation right here. We're going to rewrite it. Y equals x minus 2. And then we're going to replace it. X is negative 1, negative 2. This is negative 3 equals y. We have our ordered pair of negative 1, negative 3, x, and y. We're done. Okay?
So that's an easier way.
It doesn't matter how you do it as long as you keep it balanced. If you feel like this is easier, go for it. You can pick the numbers. As long as you keep them balanced. Now, I mean, it didn't matter because we have numbers on both sides. We have variables on both sides. We could have picked either one. It didn't. We could have picked x. We could pick 2, 4x, or 1. It doesn't matter because this problem is completely balanced. Make sense? Okay. The only thing that's different on this one right here, do we have anything equal to y? We don't. So we're going to take this first equation. We're going to solve for x. We're going to get x by itself, subtracting 4y from both sides. So this now becomes x. We go into the second equation, and we plug this in and go and solve for it. Notice, we don't have any x's here. So that means we're going to be able to solve for y. Once we solve for y, we plug it into the next equation, we solve for x. Okay? Okay, so We did this one together. Make sure you write it out. No one should get that one wrong, right?
Where's number one?
That was number 1. Now, I want you guys to do number 2 on your whiteboard. Let me see it so I can check for understanding, make sure that you got it, okay? And then from there, go ahead and finish your do now, okay?